Welcome to the Milwaukee Public Library's virtual cooking series presented by Cargill Community Kitchen. My name is Maria Burke, and I'm the Library Services Manager here at the Mitchell Street Library where this kitchen is located. The Milwaukee Public Library put this series together as a way to support families through healthy, fun, safe cooking classes instructed by notable local chefs. This is our last cooking class of the series, and to round out our finale, we have Chef Zakiya Courtney from Vegan Soul. She is here to make her very popular vegan fried chicken and black and white greens. I know you can't wait to get started. For those of you at home, please interact with us. This is a live presentation and we welcome your questions throughout the evening. You ready to do some cooking?
I'm ready.
Let's get started.
Okay. Good evening, everybody. I am known as Chef Mama Zakiya, and yes, I am from Vegan Soul. People say, well, why do they call you Mama? Well, it has a lot to do with age and activity, I guess. I am the mother of 6, but we have 15 children in terms of having a blended extended family. And from that, we have 52 grandchildren, and we have about 22 great-grandchildren, all right? So have I been cooking a long time? Yes, I've been cooking a long time, and in particular, I've been cooking vegan, vegetarian for over 30 years. Most of that time being vegan. So I'm really happy to share with you today. I am not a what they call classically trained chef. I have learned how to cook through experience and my ancestors and mentoring, with some great people. Even proud enough to say that I have 2 vegan children in my family. No, they don't live in Milwaukee, but there's Chef Joya and Chef Akil who do a phenomenal job. We learn from each other. And in fact, today, I'm going to be sharing one of the recipes that comes from my daughter's cookbook. We'll hear more about that later. But black and white greens, what are they? People like, I've never heard of black greens. I never heard of white greens. Well, you know what? Black and white greens is a term that I got from my Aunt Martha years ago when I had to make a ton of greens, for an event. And I know what happened. All my help disappeared on me. So she said, girl, you ain't got to be picking all those greens. Just go ahead and make some black and white greens. And I'm like, Aunt Martha, what's that? And she said, it's just cabbage and collards. I'm like, wow. And ever since then, I've been doing that. And so when we talk about greens in particular, to me, there's almost no healthier, food that you can consume. And I know for a lot of people, greens was something that they only had during the holidays. You get it at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, and something like that. And maybe sometimes on Sunday dinners. But also, too, in the culture that I grew up in, and I'm not sure why, but people would cook greens for hours. And it didn't take that long, right? But just based upon how we were trained, that's what we did. And once I became, vegetarian, I found out that I could do that in a much shorter time, which we're going to experience today. Even in terms of washing and picking greens, and I'm not sure what people were picking out. I actually grow, a lot of my produce myself. So yeah, you pick out the bad leaves, but it's not the really long, drawn out process that some people have done. I had one person tell me that they wash their greens in the washing machine. I'm like, how dirty could your greens be? They're not that dirty. But you do want to also make sure that your greens are clean, because if they're not, they'll be gritty. But when you talk about those dark leafy vegetables, you can't have anything better than greens. And there's a large number of greens that come under that name. What I have here today is I have one of my favorite greens, which is Lacinato Kale, also known as elephant kale. I didn't know anything about this, when I was growing up. But it is definitely my favorite green, whether or not you have it in a salad or, you actually cook it. But we're not going to cook the Lacinato Kale today. Also, too, Swiss chard. Swiss chard is another greens. This can be eaten raw or it can be consumed cooked. And then here in the center, I have the collards, which we are going to cook today. And right here, I have the cabbage, which actually came out of my own garden. And we're going to consume that today. There are so many more. You got spinach. You got, I'm just drawing a blank now in terms of the different types of greens. all kinds of kale. And what I do oftentimes is I just take and mix it all together. And when I mix it all together, it comes out to what I call crazy greens, with that Z for Zakiya. All right, and it's just absolutely great. Some people can't even envision, and I know it's an African American thing, some people can't even envision making greens without meat, right? Well, tonight, I'm gonna show you how to make greens without meat, and I'm even gonna have people who are here, actually taste the greens and, be able to, with their own opinion. I tell people, you can't hurt my feelings. If you don't like it, that's on you. There's so many other people, that do. The other thing that I'm going to be doing tonight is I'm not going to cook with regular salt, all right? I didn't say I wasn't going to use sodium. I will be using some sodium, but I stay away from salt. And the reason that I do is that, again, in the African American community, there's so many of us that experience diabetes, that experience, high blood pressure. No matter how healthy we are or we stay healthy, a lot of things are just kind of like in our DNA. And so it becomes in all of our best interest to cut back on the level of salt intake, that we do. And so I'm gonna show you how to do that too. But let's just go ahead and get started. And again, if you all have any questions along the way, hey, give me the questions as you go. You don't have to wait to the end. In the black and white greens, 3 key ingredients that I have. First of all, I use olive oil, okay? I use olive oil. And in that olive oil, I saute with garlic and I saute with onions, all right? And so we're going to do that now. I have a bulb, nice, bulb of garlic that I'm going to use now. And what I do with the garlic is I just take a quick smash, and when you do that, it automatically, the outside of it comes off, all right? So you don't have to get into, peeling the garlic or having to get underneath your fingernails. Just go ahead and give it a quick smash. And even when you do that, it takes and releases those garlic oils. It makes it even more flavorful. I also do not throw away the peel, all right? I don't throw away the peel to the garlic. I don't throw away the peel to the onions. I don't throw away the peel to the celery or any of those things. Why? Because I use them to make vegetable stock. I use it to make vegetable stock. And you would be amazed to see that little peel right there, how much flavor is actually retained there. I like a lot of garlic. I really like a lot of garlic. And I actually use more garlic than I do garlic powder. I use garlic powder, sometimes too, but nothing to me takes the place of fresh garlic. Okay? So we're smashing up about 4 large cloves, not bulbs, y'all, 4 large cloves, of garlic. Got one more I'm gonna smash. You see how easily, again, that peeling just slips right off. It releases all those good garlic oils and flavor. And you know what, y'all? Tonight, I'm working on an electric stove, which I have to be honest with you, is not my favorite, right? Not sure why. Oh, yes, I do. I know why. Because I was raised on a gas stove. And I actually enjoy the gas stove. But I've also learned one of the reasons I enjoy the gas stove is because you can regulate, your heat a lot better. So when you turn it down, it goes down right away. You turn it up, it goes up right away. Electric, you got to wait for that to happen. All right, so we smash this garlic, and then I'm just going to give it a quick chop. And one of the things I do with most of my cooking is that I very seldom mince anything because I like to see my vegetables. I'm not ashamed of them. So we're going to give this garlic just a quick chop, and you see that it's not minced at all. I'm not concerned if somebody gets a piece of garlic because garlic is good for you. It has other benefits too. It helps you with your blood. If you have issues, with your blood pressure, garlic is helpful for that. It doesn't do much for your breath. Might not do much for your friends. But when it comes down to helping to keep you healthy, even Dracula don't mess with garlic, right? So we're going to add that garlic to our pot. The onion, and I'm using a sweet onion. I like the flavor of onions. Almost everything in the onion family, leeks included. See what I mean about that pot? Starting to smoke already. Okay.
Chef Zakiya, do you have any tips for chopping onions?
Yes. Wash the onion first. Okay. Wash the onion in cold water, and then when you're peeling and chopping the onion, you breathe through your mouth instead of your nose, and so I don't have the tears. That's a really, really good question. I know some people run from chopping onions, but I don't. The olive oil, and people have the recipe for this already, right? Or some people do. The recipe will be available, but I'm gonna put the olive oil in the pot that we're gonna use to saute the garlic. You put this back over here and turn it down. Okay. So again, any kind of onion, I like to, you can use leeks, you can use shallots. Center of this onion is not too good, so I'm gonna take that part out. And if it's not good, if it's not good enough for you to eat, don't put it in your stock either, okay? Just leave that out. So I'm just kind of cutting that core out and moving it to the side, all right? Again, I like to have my vegetables seen in my food, so this will be, I guess you can call it a large dice, okay? And so once I finish this, it's just about the size that I want it to be. I also like a lot of onion, so I'm going to use this entire onion. And this is like a medium to a large onion that I use. And this particular onion, I think it was Walla Walla, because I was looking for the sweet onions. And what they had in the store available today was the Walla Walla. One year I remember, and I do garden every year. And every year I try something new and different. And I said I was going to grow onions, and I did. But it was like, it wasn't worth the space that the onions took up. I could just go to the store and get a 3-pound bag for $3.99 or whatever the case may be. So I left the onions alone and took that space to go ahead and grow something else. There it goes smoking again. Okay. So now what I'm going to do is add this onion to the pot. Turn it down just a little bit.
Chef Zakiya,
Yes.
How long have you been vegan?
Was it 31 years? Yeah, 31 years.
And what health benefits have you found from that
Well,
diet?
a number of things. First of all, it wasn't the first time I had tried being vegetarian. I actually tried it when I was in my 20s, and I didn't have a whole lot of support. I didn't know what I was doing, and so it didn't last too long. The next time, but when I went back, to eat meat, there were certain things I did not eat because I realized the impact it was having on my body. And so then my husband was diagnosed with being borderline diabetic and hypertension. And so the doctors told him he could either change his diet or go on meds. And so he decided at that time, to change his diet. So I have found that in terms of the health benefits, as I said earlier, there's some things that just, seem to be in our DNA, right? And in my family, I've had people who had heart attacks in their 30s. I've had people that went on, high blood pressure medicine, brothers and sisters, same parents, go on high blood pressure medicine and other things in their 30s. And I didn't have those challenges. What was the difference? Again, we had the same parents, but the fact that my diet was different than theirs made a whole lot of difference. So when you say what impact, that was the impact, that it had. I'm going to talk for a minute about these collards before I start cutting them up. Collards, again, is just packed with all kinds of really great, nutrition. And you can use the entire plant, but what I do oftentimes is I'll do what's called deveining it. And that's where I'm just cutting out the stem. Not that it's not edible, because it is, but if you want to cook, the greens faster, then you want to, take the stem out. You don't want to put this, though, in your stock, because it will overpower it, all right? As much as I love collard greens, I don't want everything to taste like them, all right? So I'm going to devein just a few of them. Again, just cutting out the large stem. And I could have done this in advance, but I really want you all to see the fun or see the process. Okay. And these actually aren't that bad in terms of the thickness, of the vein. It's tougher as it gets down here. But the rest of it, or if it's a young collard, it's not bad. It's not bad. My collard greens are growing like crazy. I already had a request from one of my children to bring some down to Charlotte, this weekend. But I told him, no, I'm going to wait till Thanksgiving, and then I'll bring some down. And usually what I do is I take like 50 pounds of produce from what I've grown in my own garden to share with the family during the Thanksgiving time. And our family is different. We actually renamed Thanksgiving because we know what the original intent was. So we renamed it, and we call Thanksgiving Ancestors Day. And what we do at that time is we take the time to go ahead and acknowledge our ancestors who have gone on before us, and we make sure that our children and our grandchildren know about these people that, probably passed on either when they were younger or even before they were born. And it's always really a great time because it involves telling stories, and people get to know, your children, your grandchildren, get to know who your parents and your grandparents were just from the stories that you tell. So you also notice something too, that as I cook that you won't see me measure. And that's because you just don't, okay? You just know. But we also pay tribute to, I credit it to our ancestors. How do you know how much to put in? That's why I say you just know. Your ancestors let you know what it is that you're supposed to be doing, okay? So I just rolled these collards, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut them small. And you can actually buy collard greens, mustard greens, kale, turnip greens. You can buy them already chopped in a bag, and that's fine. They cost about $3 in the store. They cost a little bit more, but if you don't have the time, then that's a really good option. But if you got the time, I really do enjoy, cutting my own. So I left some of the stem in because I actually like the taste of stems. There's no problem with that, but it's just a matter of cooking time. So back here behind me, you may be able to hear the garlic and the onion sauteing. Yep. And it's doing well, and those here sitting in the audience, you can smell it too, can't you? Right. I'm going to add some peppers to this. These peppers did come out of my garden. This is a cayenne pepper, just really hot. This is a Sorrento pepper. It may or may not be hot. That's something interesting about that particular pepper you don't know. In my family, we like a lot of peppers. When I cook for the public, though, I don't do that because everybody can't tolerate the heat. I add the pepper stem to my stock because I like a little bit of heat. Okay, and I don't mind that. So I just chop that again. So you see what I have here in this bowl. Okay, this is my stock bowl. Right now, it consists of the onion peel, the garlic peel, and the stem from the hot peppers. Okay. All right. So the onion and garlic have sauteed down in the olive oil that we put in. Just put this in the bowl so we won't be taking it across the floor. Let me add the pepper right into it too. And even with the pepper, oh, you know what? I forgot one thing. Sorry about that. I like to use carrots. Now, you don't have to use carrots. It's not a southern thing, but I use carrots and sometimes some other vegetables just because I like the color. Okay, just because I like the color. Sometimes I roast these in advance because I like roasted vegetables. It gives a depth, a flavor, but today we're just going to saute it. saute that for a minute.
And could you talk to us a little bit more about using alternate versions of salt?
Sure. There's so many, you know what, there's so many things that you can use in place of salt. And even sea salt, you know, is better. Himalayan, you know, salt is better than the regular ionized salt. Once you start to eliminate like table salt from your diet, your taste buds start to change. And so you'll find that you really won't need that. And many times I would see people just start shaking salt in their food. Sometimes people do it before they even taste the food. I'm like, taste it first, and then determine if you need to do that or not. One of the things I brought, salt substitutes I brought tonight was liquid aminos, you know, put out by this company called Bragg's. This particular one is it's a soy base, but they also have a coconut base amino for people who want to avoid soy. It's a great, you know, sodium or salt, you know, substitute. Other things I've used seaweed, you know, and it comes granulated. You can actually, you know, shake that on your food or cook with it. And I think I have some of that in, you won't see it, but I have some of that in the breading that we're going to use tonight, you know, with the mushrooms. But eliminating salt isn't as difficult, you know, as people think that it is. It's really a matter of changing in your taste buds. And the other thing that people should realize is that salt is not really a seasoning. What salt or sodium does is it enhances the food. So if you don't put no seasoning in your food and all you do is salt, it's what my daughter calls bald-headed. Okay, you just got bald-headed food, right? Salt, you know, anything, a sodium enhancer, it enhances what it is that you've already done. So like with the garlic and the onions that I have, this is just going to help, you know, make it even better. Okay? All right, let's get this in. We got the carrots in. Just going to add the collards. And something else, you know what we were taught is that this, you know, food had to be boiled to death. You know, it does not take that long, and you don't have to do as much as you think you have to do in order to make a good pot of greens. Got a few more pieces here and cut up a little bit smaller. Okay. Gonna stir this around so that the olive oil and the onions and the garlic that's on the bottom can mix through all of this. While we're doing that, I'm gonna see if I can get this going. Here we go. Yeah.
We have a question. Someone is asking, how expensive is it to go vegan?
Your health. Woo! Your life. It is not expensive. To me, it's not expensive. I very seldom look in the meat department, but when I see a piece of meat that's like $24, I'm like, who buys that? You know, because I had like 6 children at home. There was no way I was going to make a dish with a piece of meat that cost $24. And I don't know how much things cost. I really don't, you know, in terms of that. But I do know I can feed a whole gang of people, you know, in a pot of spaghetti, you know, with no meat, you know, whatsoever, as well as a lot of other things too. So I would say that how cheap is it? It's much less expensive now than it was in the past. You know, don't go to some of the high-end stores, you know, when you start out, because that is really expensive. But most good grocery stores now, you can easily, you know, find vegan and vegetarian options and not have to spend any more money than what you already spent. As I said, me and electric stoves. So, can somebody give me a top so I can put over this skillet for a minute? while I wait for this eye to cool down. That's going to be my biggest challenge tonight, you all, the electric stove. No, a little bit bigger. All right. So again, I'm stirring this around, stirring the greens around to make sure all the seasoning that's in there gets mixed around. And if you notice, I haven't added the cabbage yet. That's a little big, but it'll work. I don't want that popping out anywhere. If you notice, I haven't added the cabbage yet. And the reason that I haven't is because the collards take a little bit longer to cook than the cabbage does. This is my vegetable stock, my homemade vegetable stock. See, this had everything that I just told you all about, but it also had celery in there. I think it had some potato skins in there too. I'm trying to think what all, went into this particular one. A couple bay leaves, a little seasoning, got my own jar of stock. And that's what I'm going to use to help season the food. Just pour that in. Okay, and I'm gonna let that cook and simmer for a little bit while I cut up the cabbage. One of the things people also don't realize is that greens, and especially greens like cabbage, spinach, Swiss chard, and others are very watery vegetables. And so they actually, create their own liquid. All right. So we're going to cut this up. Cutting around the core. Cabbage again, you don't put that in your stock pot either. Yeah, if people have questions, I'm more than happy, to answer questions. With my greens, I've won contests, and it's just simple. It's just simple. People, when they use meat in their greens, or I'm not making fun of nobody, but one of my daughter-in-laws told me that she used smoked turkey tails. And first thing I was trying to figure out is why you got to use a turkey butt. What is it in there that has flavor that you really want, But I do know it's the smokiness that people look for, and what people call, quote unquote, fat back, you get that with the olive oil. Now I know there's some people in the audience don't have a clue as to what I'm talking about when I say ham hocks and fat back and all that kind of stuff. But there's others of you that know exactly what I'm talking about, all right? And some of you may still use it. That's on you. My job is to show you a healthier way of being able to eat the foods that you love from your childhood or even as your adulthood, and you don't miss nothing when it comes down to flavor, texture, is all there. Everything except the oink. That's gone. Okay. What helps to give us the smoky kind of flavor is liquid smoke. Liquid smoke. This is a must in any, vegan kitchen. You do have to be careful with this though, because if you use too much, your food will taste like an ashtray. Okay. But if you use just the right amount, it gives you that smokiness that people, are looking for from the other things that they used to use when they cook their meat. All right. So this is cooking fairly well. And I don't think you can see in the pot from the camera, can you? Or can you?
We can't see inside the pot.
You can't see inside the pot? Can you see this?
That we can see.
That you can see? Okay. So you see how it's starting to cook down, and you see there's very little water that I've added to it. Okay? And I'm not steaming it. That's the other thing. It's not steamed. Don't get me wrong. No, steamed greens would not give you the taste, that we're looking for. All right. So I'm going to try and turn this up a little bit. All right. And now I'm going to add the cabbage to it. When I cook, not only with greens, but anything, what I like to do is to layer the flavor or the seasonings. So I never put them all in, all the seasonings. I never add it all at one time. I like to layer it. And with greens is something that you can't wait till you get to the end to go ahead and season, because it just won't take. All right? So I added the cabbage. I'm stirring this. Are they able to see that? Okay. All right, haven't added any of the brags yet, so I'm gonna add brags in. Stir it around. Make sure it goes throughout the entire pot. You know, so again, where the term black and white came from, I don't know. But obviously you see the contrast between the light and the dark. And then I said with the liquid smoke, adding just a little bit. That was probably like 1/8 of a teaspoon. And when I say with seasonings, start with a little, and depending upon what your taste buds are, and then work your way up. Because you can always add more, but you can't take it out. So I'm gonna add a little bit more stock. Make sure that's enough. Then I'm gonna let it do its thing. Put the top on it. And now I'm gonna move over here and see if we can work with this. Okay. So one of the things that people miss when they become vegan or vegetarian, some people do, some people miss having their old favorites. And folks will say, well, you've been vegan, vegetarian for over 30 years. How did you do it? What did you do with your kids? Well, at the time we decided to become vegetarian, we had like 6 children at home. And we told the children what our plans were, what we were going to do and why, we were going to do it. Some of them were either teenagers or preteens or whatever. And so the rule of the house became that, we would no longer consume meat products in the house, but what you decided to do on your own, that's up to you. We knew we would not be able to control that, all right? So the oldest at home at the time, he changed, and then the youngest at home, he changed, who didn't have a choice because he was only 2, at the time. So they changed. And my kids have all kinds of stories about what they went through to go ahead and get some meat. And it's really, really funny. But not all of them were funny. My one daughter, she decided that she wanted to eat a brat. We were at a picnic in the park, and she wanted to eat a brat off of somebody else's grill. I think it was a pork brat. And she ate it and had an allergic reaction to it. At first it was funny, but then stuff started swelling up, throat and everything, and we had to take her to the hospital, to the emergency room. And she talks about that all the time. I almost died. Y'all were just laughing at me. I felt like I was dying. She's a phenomenal vegan chef now. She is absolutely phenomenal. Nobody can beat it. She did not stay vegetarian or vegan at that time. No, she went through life and had to experience her own thing in terms of health challenges and things like that. But, she came back to, that way of eating. And I'm telling you, nobody can touch her when it comes down to vegan fine dining. The other one, Akil, has a food truck. He's in Charlotte, too. And what he did was he took his experience as a general manager for corporate restaurants into his own business and created Vigo. And what he does, similar kinds of foods, but he really, really focuses on those foods that people want to go ahead and get quick, and carry. He too has a lot of stories about the lengths that he would go through to go ahead and get meat. But you know what? The good thing about it is that they were able to bring those tastes and textures now to vegan cooking. So that's been a good thing. So what are we going to do? We are going to make vegan fried chicken using oyster mushrooms. Using oyster mushrooms, right? You might not have seen these mushrooms in a regular store. You know, they've already been seasoned. I seasoned them before. You may not find them in a regular store. Specialty stores you can. The Asian Mark is the best place to go to get a good, a good rate on it, price on it. And what they do is that with the mushrooms, they have a meaty, type of texture that's very reminiscent of meat. And so when you treat it like you would treat, quote unquote, a piece of meat, or you fry it, then what you do is you get something that is amazingly good. And, everybody here tonight will get a chance to taste it. I created a wet batter and a dry batter, before I got here. And this batter has flour in it, regular flour in it, has, what else? Oh, corn flour, that's what I wanted to say. And then it has other seasonings similar to like Old Bay, but there's a product that I use that comes out of North Carolina, Moe's seasoning, that is just amazing, that I have in here. Garlic powder, onion powder, and actually this recipe, Southern Fried Chicken, is in my daughter's cookbook, Cooking with Joya, as well as other recipes. The recipes for the black and white greens are in there too. But anyway, so we're going to do a wet batter and a dry batter. And the wet batter that I have here is actually the same as this batter, but I added oat milk to it so that it has like the consistency of pancake batter. That's the easiest way I can explain it. Okay. Yeah. And I just mixed this up right before we came on camera, and it looks like it's still pretty good. All right. This can be deep fried or it can be pan fried. We started out with the dry batter. And I try and keep a dry hand and a wet hand. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, I forget. But we're just going to give the mushrooms a quick coating. Now, don't think these are the mushrooms you can go out there in your backyard or in your park to pick up. No, can't do that. Don't eat those mushrooms, right? These are specialty mushrooms. And these, you know what, I bought these for about $5.99 a pound, which was pretty good, because some places sell them for like $17.99. It's like, no, don't go to those stores. All right, so we got the dry.
And why do you do the dry first and then the wet?
Because the dry, it helps it cling, it helps the wet cling on better. Some people just do, the one step. But I have found that when I do dry, wet, dry, that I get a better result. Okay. So I'm just moving it around in the batter. Now I gotta keep one hand dry and one hand wet. We'll see how that works. Now, frying is not the healthiest thing to do. I admit that. It's the fun thing to do on occasion, all right? But it's not something that you want to do all the time. I would never tell anybody to do this all the time, but just on occasion. So you see how the batter clings to it? Now, like I told y'all, my challenge is going to be this electric oven stove back here. We'll see what's going to happen with that. See if it's ready. Again, if you all have any questions, just ask. We specialize, when I say we, not only me, but also, my children, we specialize in transitional foods. So you don't have to be vegan or vegetarian to enjoy these foods. Anybody can enjoy it. Because when things taste good, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter at all. So I'm putting a second coat of it on. still trying to keep one hand dry.
We have another question from the audience.
Yes.
Do you sell your seasonings or your stock?
No, I don't have that kind of time. No, I don't. I do support people who make, great seasonings and stocks, like, Anomalous Campbell. She has a great fish fry batter that she uses, and there's a brother, like I said, in Moe's in North Carolina, has a great seasoning that I use. So I'm not trying to do everything. I also have to remind people that I'm retired. I'm actually an educator, right? Administrator. And this opportunity, to become a chef really came based upon demand. People kept asking me, can you bring this? Can you cook this? It's only 100 people. Can you do this? Can you do that? And so I looked up and I had to go ahead and transform, some things. I also cook at a place called Trickleby Cafe, which is a pay-what-you-can cafe located on 44th and North Avenue. And I volunteer there every Friday. But it's also the kitchen that I use for my business, okay, the commercial kitchen that I use. And I absolutely love it there. If you haven't checked out Trickleby Cafe, you don't know what you're missing. Ann over there giving a thumbs up because she came on Friday, and she can attest to the fact of how good, the food was. Okay, let's see what's happening over here. Looks like this is ready. Yeah, it's ready. This is being cooked in grapeseed oil, which is a high point oil. Again, deep frying is nothing that anybody should do all the time anyway. But for special occasions, it's okay every once in a while. Also using a cast iron skillet that I absolutely love. I don't even remember where or when I got this skillet or how long I've had it. But believe me, it is thoroughly seasoned, and it makes the best cornbread. It makes the best fried whatever it is that you're frying. All right, so I got this skillet full. It's much easier nowadays to be vegan than it was when we first started. As I said, when I tried it, when I was in my early 20s, there was there was no support for it because nobody knew anything about it. Now, there's so much stuff that you really got to be careful because it's easy to be into vegan junk food, and you don't necessarily want to go off on that end either. But I tell people, tell me what your favorite food is, and I can veganize it. Yep. Except crab legs. I ain't got that one yet. We haven't figured that one out yet. We're working on it. So yesterday I did a pop-up at Sherman Phoenix, and we did the crispy fried chicken with the mushrooms, and we also did a vegan shrimp. And I had some people taste it that couldn't believe. One young man told me he was a sworn carnivore, and that's all he likes. And his mom convinced him, just taste one of these shrimp, just taste it. And he tasted it, he's like, what you mean that's not shrimp? No, it's not shrimp. No, it was made with konjac powder, which comes from, it's a Japanese seaweed product. And you can't even buy it here in Milwaukee. But anyway, I ordered it from California, and it is just so good. People just love it. And I think I'm doing something, I am doing tomorrow at Alice's Garden, which I'm there every Tuesday. I'm going to do a seafood mac and cheese, a vegan seafood mac and cheese. Yep. And probably an Italian sausage mac and cheese. Yep. Check it out. It's going to be good. He's saying, wow. Yeah. But see, and eating vegan or vegetarian does not have to be a punishment. That's what sometimes people think, that you're going to lose taste, you're going to lose texture. You're not going to lose anything. In fact, you're going to gain. and you'll be able to control, what it is that you put in your body, at least knowing the sources of it. That's one of the reasons that I absolutely love having a garden, because I just grow so many things that I use in my business. I grow things that I don't use in my business too, because I just enjoy, watching things come from, seed and growing and develop, and then being able to turn it into a product that I use for family and friends. Okay. So I guess it's doing this thing. I better leave that stove alone. This one, this is doing good too. This is doing good too. All right, so I'm gonna do a few more of these. And like I said, if you all have questions, send them, ask.
For anyone who wants to visit Trickle Bee Cafe, what are their hours?
Trickle Bee Cafe is open from Wednesday through Saturday from 11 to 2. See, I put it in here first. Anyway, they'll be all right. Wednesday through Saturday from 11 to 2. I'm there on Fridays. It's called Vegan Soul Friday. I won't be there this Friday, but almost any other Friday, you can find me there. And our menu changes every day, okay? And the way that I tell people, being at Trickle Bee, volunteering at Trickle Bee is like being on Chopped. You don't know what you're going to have until you open the basket up, because we get a lot of donations. And so sometimes the night before, we know we get a list of, we got 200 tomatoes or whatever the case may be, and that gives us a little time to figure out what we're going to make. And other times, we don't get anything, we don't get any heads up at all. We just, show up at 8 o'clock in the morning, look at the list. It's like, okay, what are we going to do? What are we going to do today? And it's fun, because it has to be ready by 11 a.m. And usually it is. Sometimes 11:15, but most times we're getting it in. Okay, I'm just putting some more of this in, and I'm going to turn that in a minute. Doesn't take long to cook at all.
What about cooking with soy as a vegan or vegetarian? There's been sort of mixed studies in terms of the health aspects of it. What are your thoughts?
You know what? Honestly, I think that people are fearful, unrealistically fearful. All right, you can't have too much of a good thing. So again, I wouldn't say you should eat tofu every day, but there are people in the world that do eat tofu every day. All right, and they have not experienced the kind of effects that we do here, in the West. So again, I would say, with tofu, with soy, in moderation. Now, if you get intolerance to it, no, definitely don't consume it. But I haven't had a problem with it. And I've known people that have consumed tofu over 50, 70 years, and they've been just fine. But they're not eating it every day either. Okay. Tofu does not cause men to have female breasts. I've read that. It doesn't do that at all. Does it produce estrogen excess estrogen in men's bodies? I don't know. I don't subscribe to that. Some people said the dairy industry created that because they didn't want soy milk to exist. But now we got all kinds of milk. And in fact, the milk industry didn't want nut milk to be called nut milk. They say it didn't have a right to be called milk. It's like, really? So milk doesn't have to come from a cow.
We'd have to change the name of peanut butter to something other than butter.
Yeah, exactly.
So since you grow a lot of your own greens and other produce, if somebody's looking to start a vegan garden, what would you suggest they begin with?
What do I suggest that they plant, or what do they do?
Yes, yeah, what do they plant?
Whatever their favorite food is. So for me, because I'm really into greens, I plant every kind of green I can find. I got to try it at least once. And so I might have like 12 different varieties of greens, in my garden. I also like herbs. So I might have 4 different kinds, in fact I do, of basil, that's in there. So you start with what it is that you like to eat, and then move on from there. I have sweet potatoes that's growing. We love sweet potatoes. So I have 3 baskets of sweet potatoes growing, and I'm actually doing it different this year. This year with the sweet potatoes, we planted them in bags, because typically with potatoes what you do is you plant them, then when it's ready, then you got to dig them out the earth, which is fun, but I'm always afraid I'm going to lose some. So this year we planted them in bags, and so all we got to do is just dump it out the bags, and then we got all the sweet potatoes right there. Okay. The greens are coming along well. They're almost done. As I told you all, it really does not take that long. Put this over here.
And we have somebody asking, where did you say the specialty vegan mac and cheeses will be available?
Tomorrow at Alice's Garden from 4 to 7, okay? And I guarantee you it's gonna be the best mac and cheese you had. It don't matter if you use, you usually use dairy or not, it's gonna be the best mac and cheese that you've had. As I said, one is gonna be seafood, the other one is gonna be an Italian sausage that is also vegan, okay? All right, I'm gonna wash my hands off real quick so I can get this out. So mac and cheese is like, everybody's comfort food. And so you'll see that appear in a lot of households. It's not the box mac and cheese. So it takes some time to do it in terms of the baked mac and cheese, but it's good. Can you all see the skillet or not really? Yeah. You can? Okay. Let me get some paper towels.
Do you use vegan cheese for that or something other than...
I'm sorry, you said what?
Do you use vegan cheese for the mac and cheese or a different substitute?
A combination. I use some vegan cheese and then I make my own. And that's what makes it so unique, that it's not just made from an already processed product. Can you all smell this? You all got the smells over there? Okay.
And what do you make your vegan cheese from?
So what?
What do you make your vegan cheese out of?
That's my secret. I can tell you one thing.
Is it nut-free? Can you share that?
Yeah. No, well, yeah, it can be. It can be. It can be nut-free. I'm trying to think. What will I tell you? Oh, yeah, I can tell you one thing, but it won't help you make it. It's potato starch. Okay, yeah, made with potato starch. Because see, what happens is that your seasonings got to be right. And you can use cashew milk. Somebody was talking about nut-free. You can use cashew milk. Or you can use oat milk, which is one of the latest things that's out. And oat milk is really good, So I've done it with cashew milk. Tomorrow's, and I'm thinking about it. Tomorrow I think it's going to be nut-free. Yeah. Tomorrow I think it's going to be nut-free. I'm going to let you all try this in a second. I just wanted to cool off some.
All right. Who's ready to do a taste?
I didn't say come yet. Running back. Not quite. This is just about done too. I need to give it a test for taste.
We have some eager folks in our live audience here, just waiting
No problem.
for their turn to try.
Always
all
got
these
to taste it, make sure it's
delicious-looking
right.
Foods.
Or your seasonings where you want them to be. Yep. I think I'm gonna add maybe a dash more of the Bragg's. So you see, these greens are done, okay? And I don't know what time it is, but you know, the greens are done already. And you see, it did not take hours and hours or days and days. All right, let me just check this and see if this is ready. And my hands are clean, y'all, okay? That's good too. Any other questions or comments, y'all? Because y'all making this way too easy.
I think the next question is, what does it taste like?
Ah, that is coming up. Just clear out a little space for you all. Let me see if I can get a bowl, put the greens in so they're not sitting in a pot. Is there a bowl over there? Nothing pretty? What's that? Is that a white bowl? Oh, with your hands. Is that a white bowl over there? That's a little bit better, yeah. So, you know, we eat with our eyes first, right? So if it doesn't look good, then we're not gonna, you know, we're not gonna even want to try it. Thank you. Thank you. So this is our black and white greens. Get another plate for this. Our vegan fried chicken. Now, is this gonna taste like you just popped a piece of chicken in your mouth? No. I ain't gonna even lie to you, no it don't. But is it gonna be reminiscent of it? Yes, it will. Here. Okay, so we're gonna have the truth be told. Let me get a couple things for you all to pick up food with. Thought it was another one. Okay, let's go for it, y'all. Yeah, come on. What does that mean? Oh, I forgot. No, I'm just kidding. Come on. You can come across the front. It's like, you want to make your plate too, right?
And Tammy is going to try first and comment.
Okay.
And I'll hold the mic so
Tammy, you like you like hot peppers or hot
No,
sauce?
not at all.
So no peppers for you? Okay.
It
Take that little
looks
pepper out.
delicious.
It looks delicious? I had to take these peppers out because you already told me you don't want it.
Not only does it look delicious, it's super colorful.
Okay, thank you.
Now, I have to say, I'm a little hesitant about the mushrooms.
Okay,
I don't eat mushrooms.
okay, so you want me to give you just a little piece?
A little piece.
Okay.
But it looks good, though.
Well, even for somebody that doesn't like mushrooms, that's okay. You know, like I said, I just encourage you to try. I'm trying to find another little piece. Is that too big?
That's fine.
That's fine? Okay. And no hot sauce?
Oh, no. Thank you very much.
Okay,
And thank you very much.
all right, and she's going, yeah.
We gotta hear what you say.
We have an elder back there, somebody should take her place.
Oh, okay, okay. So we have an elder back here, and we want to send some back there to her so she can taste it.
Delicious. Come forward.
Yep.
Absolutely delicious.
A little bit more.
Don't be jealous, folks.
Somebody want to take a plate back to her?
Now, here's the test. Let's try these mushrooms.
Chicken.
He's trying to get you around.
Come around. It's okay.
Yeah, wait, I think they want you back here.
Oh, all the way back.
Yep, can we go behind the table?
Yep.
Sure.
Right up there with the counter.
So here we go.
Here we go.
Moment of truth.
It's definitely crunchy.
Does it taste like a mushroom?
It doesn't taste like a mushroom.
Right, because you don't like mushrooms, right?
It's really good. Oh my goodness.
Does it taste like chicken?
It doesn't taste like chicken.
Right.
Uh-huh.
But it's close. And it's flavorful. Chef. Turn me into a vegan.
Anybody else want to try?
I'll try some.
Okay, okay.
And I am the opposite of Tammy. I like things with some heat.
Uh-oh,
So I like spicy.
you like spicy?
I do.
Okay. So you got a couple red peppers in there with yours.
That's great.
And I actually bought some hot gardenia. You want a little bit more hot?
Yeah.
Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Remember she asked for it. Just put a little bit of more hot on there. Now she started coughing and choking. It ain't the food, right?
It is really colorful. It smells good too. All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
This one, somebody.
You gonna cook in the microwave? Okay, thank you. That's good. It's,
Go ahead.
I like the amount of smoke you put in it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I've had it where it,
Overpowers.
never an ashtray, but
Yeah,
it's too
yeah,
much. This
yep,
is
yep,
perfect.
yep.
Yeah, this is
It should
good.
just accent your food. It should never, overpower it.
And the greens are crunchy.
Mm-hmm. They're crunchy?
I mean, you know how mom's greens
Or overcooked?
yes, are overcooked. Yes.
Right. No, that's the texture that they should be. You know, when you say crunchy, I don't want people to think that they're hard or
No.
anything, like that.
Not at all.
Mm-hmm.
Not at all.
Yeah. But again, it doesn't take all day. And those are collards. And collards usually take longer to cook, than the other ones. Greens like the Swiss chard, and some of the kale, and spinach, cooks really fast. You can do that and, saute it with some butter, onions, garlic, and everything. And then it's done and it's ready to go.
Does it matter what type of onion you use? White onions, yellow onions?
No, I use them all. I use them all. I like the sweet onion. That's why I chose that. I also like leeks, and so I've made it, with leeks. And during this time of the year, those things are really abundant. And so I like to cook things that are cooked with vegetables that are seasonal. So we're harvesting a lot of really great stuff right now. Y'all still eating? I guess so.
It's something about these carrots. These carrots are giving us some life right here.
Well, see, what the carrots do, too, as I said, it gives it color. That's why I put it in there. It's not that it's boring, but again, we eat with our eyes first, okay? And so it gives it just the right, kind of thing. Some people use bell peppers in it, and you can do that, too. Again, it's going for the color, okay? Going for the color. And then once we see the color and it looks good, then we taste it. And when we're tasting for the flavor and we're tasting for the texture. And we're actually looking for those things that are reminiscent of foods that we, either enjoy now or it reminds us of our childhood. So that's why I tell people, tell me your favorite food and we can veganize it.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just tasted the mushrooms and they're amazing. I could have these every day.
No,
I know
you
I'm
don't.
not
Right,
supposed to
no,
have these every day. I know that.
right.
They're delicious. They're
Okay.
wonderful.
Yep. And so as a substitute, for chicken, what people miss is the seasoning. They miss the crunchiness, that crispiness. Because if somebody gave you a piece of chicken with no flavor, you're not going to eat, not flavor, no seasoning, you're not going to eat it. Just get some boiled chicken on your plate with no seasoning. Ugh. Okay, who wants that? Yeah. So what it is, again, that this reminds you of, it has the crispiness, it has the season, and it has the texture. And that's what makes it good.
It's delicious. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's meaty. It tastes meaty. Mm-hmm. Do you want to try some?
I will.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just want to thank everyone for joining us tonight. This is a wrap on our virtual cooking program. Chef Zakiya, thank you so much for introducing us to all of this fantastic food.
You are welcome.
For any of you in the audience who have not been joining the entire series, you can catch us at the Milwaukee Public Library page on YouTube. Thank you so much.